Sydney takes on defending premiers Parramatta. The team rundowns. Gurr takes on Taylor at full-back. South Sydney three-quarters, Harrington, Pobji, Murphy and Niscott in against the very talented men of Lydiard, Kenny, Ella and Growth. Neil Baker and George Longbottom make up the South Sydney halves, and Ron Quinn comes in for Michael Cronin and partners Peter Sterling. The South Sydney forwards, they'll play it hard, they'll play it tough. Carberry, Boyle, Tony and Dean Rampling, Mario Finneck is back and Les Davidson. But they're in against the Parramatta six, led by Ray Price. He's got Stephen Sharp, Peter Wynn, Paul Mayer, Stan Jurd and Ken Stewart in front of him. And what about Ken Stewart? I'm told he went to the wrong dressing room, for today he plays his first match for Parramatta against South Sydney, having given the Rabbitohs 10 good years of service. And he goes in against the man that formerly was his understudy, Mario Finneck. Souths are coached by Ron Willey, Parramatta by John Money. I'm Ray Warren, and I hope you enjoy tonight's NEC Big Game from Redfern Oval. Whistle blows, and it's South Sydney running from left to right. They're running into a 30k breeze, and this is David Lydiard getting first touch of the ball for Parramatta. And the stage set for yet another good clash, I would expect, between Parramatta and Souths here at Redfern, Bill Anderson.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this young and enthusiastic South Sydney team performs against Parramatta without their captain Mick Cronin. If they're going to get the 2 points today, no doubt they're going to have to contain this Parramatta backline, which is bristling with pace.
Sterling putting a kick over the top, turning South Sydney around, and Marty Gurr has to go back into the in goal. The Parramatta defence is down fairly quickly, and Mayers is going to bring him to a halt about 10 metres out from the South Sydney line. Played by Gurr, and a penalty going to Souths. That's for premature striking from the marker. Referee for the match is Graham Annesley. One of the statistics that we take out for you early, the matches played last year, Parramatta 24-12 won the first round, but then Souths pulled off one of the shocks of the season with an 11-0 win in the second battle. Now this is Mario Finneck who's tackled. He's back in the side, missing last Wednesday. His deputy on that occasion, Rick Montgomery, I thought played very well. Tony Rampling giving it off to Baker, and now a forward running off the first pivot is Michael Carberry. He's about 10 metres out from the 22 line. Through Longbottom, and again a similar tactic. Hitting it up very hard out wide was Tony Rampling. Baker, Carberry, a cutout ball. It's gone through Pobji, and going down the flank for South is Harrington. Last tackle for South now, as Longbottom puts his kick in. It came off the outside edge of the boot. Taylor's under it safely. Taylor bringing it back now for Parramatta. He's about 10 metres on his own side of the halfway. Sterling, Peter Wynn. It's a Parramatta penalty. It's against Souths for not getting off the tackled player. Steve Ella taking the line kick. He'll also be doing the goal kicking for Parramatta today. Parramatta led by Ray Price.
If the opening minutes of this game are any indication, Price has really taken the captaincy to heart. He's been involved in everything in the first few minutes of this match.
And here's the move that they worked against Canterbury last Sunday that I think would have come off, only the referee eventually pinched Price for a shepherd. Mayers was hit very hard then by David Boyle. And the ball has been lost in the tackle. It's a penalty to Parramatta. Not releasing the tackled player.
And if you had Mick Cronin in your side, you'd be fairly confident about leading 2-0 after that penalty.
So it's the head-on shot of the goal kicker, Steve Ella.
Well, I can remember him last year in a game against Canberra kicking something like 9 out of 10.
His kick is good. So Parramatta takes first points in this clash at Redfern, leading South by 2 points to 0. Great results. Thirds to Parramatta 18-14, reserves to Parramatta 20-16. And that kick-off has just gone the 10. Stan Jerd immediately met by 3 South defenders. Here's Price on the blind.
Well, there you can see an example of the South Sydney tactics. No doubt they're trying to rip into the Parramatta forwards. Players like Tony Rampling, Dean Rampling can really handle that job, but that's not going to be the Achilles heel today for them. The Achilles heel is going to be players like Brett Kenny and Steve Ella out wide in the back line.
Well, Kenny's getting busy now and looking for it as Taylor comes into the play. Dummy half Ken Stewart. A dummy to Ella, given to Sterling, running blindside and trying to hit sharp up through the middle. Play is on the 5th tackle for Parramatta now, as it's turned and gone to ground. And it's going to be a scrum. South Sydney feed. Parramatta coach Money, flanked by his secretary Dennis Fitzgerald. Penalty to Souths. It's against Parramatta for not packing. Well instructed to do so. And in fact for not arching correctly. So the tap taken by the Rabbits, and that's Dean Rampling. He's inside the Parramatta 22. Davidson taken low by Mears. Longbottom putting the kick up into that far corner, and Taylor stood his ground and took it well. He was hit very hard by Terry Murphy, and it's hurt Taylor. Taylor was hit around the thigh muscle, and it would seem that that's what's aching at the moment. Line drop out with a strong breeze at his back for Steve Ella. Taking it back is Marty Gurr, who I would like to have seen more involved last Wednesday night, and it won't surprise me if he...
Well, there was no doubt last Wednesday night that he did carry an injury into that match. Hopefully he'll have overcome that, and will get more involved in this game. I'm a little surprised so far, Ray. You know, the Parramatta players would be aware that Souths are very fired up. They've gone into this match all bristled up, and they should be using the kick far more than they are, Parramatta, to get the ball downfield, take a lot of pressure off themselves. There's no value in trying to ruck the ball up against a team which is really trying to stick it to you.
Neil Baker with a chance to level up at 2 points all. Quite a good crowd here at Redfern. Probably not as big as expected. Baker always hooked it and missed it. Well, that's a bad kick from Neil Baker.
Baker got right away from his technique there. He stabbed at that ball and tried to glide it over rather than kick it. It doesn't matter how close to the post the ball is. You should really punch it with the same technique every time.
Parramatta leading by 2 points to 0. And that's Steve Ella. This is Niscott. Across the ground goes Mario Fenech, turning it back inside for David Boyle. Fenech going off from dummy half. Baker, a dummy to Boyle on the run round, and it's switched back towards the scoreboard side where Gurr takes it to ground. 10 minutes gone. 2-0 in favour of Parramatta. And this is Tony Rampling. Baker. That's a good-looking kick, but Lydiard has it covered. And Lydiard inside one, but Harrington's got him tidied up. And David Boyle, who gets through a lot of work in defence, coming across to smother up Lydiard.
We can see on these early tackles that South Sydney are playing no cover defence. The only person back is their fullback, Marty Gurr. There are plenty of opportunities for the Parramatta players to employ a kicking game. They've got the men there that can handle it, like Peter Sterling.
Here's Quinn. Now Mayers out very wide, running off a second pivot. Stephen Edge, one of the ill-fated Parramatta captains. Peter Sterling to play it. In fact, we'll try for a chat with Stephen in run of play later in the match. Ella, good ball from Quinn. Seeing a pass like that would do Michael Cronin the world of good.
There's a very selective pass there, and we could see Steve Ella. He's only a little man, but notice how he bumped off that first tackle.
Big Mayers turning it inside, but Lydiard's put it down. South's ball, but he's ruled a knock on against both. And a touch judge is going in from the grandstand side. Well, what in fact happened there was quite obvious. George Longbottom fell on the loose ball. Wynn went in to claim him. A hand must be placed on a player before it's deemed to be a tackle. And in fact, the other South Sydney player who grappled around the chin of Peter Wynn could have been pinched for a second tackle. One of the ill-fated Parramatta captains, and yet another one has bitten the dust. Anything to say to Michael Cronin?
Yeah, well, just disappointing with, you know, Michael having to go into hospital and that, but you know, he'll be a bit like me. We're just hoping we'll get back out on the paddock as soon as we possibly can.
Are you disappointed at all in what the Eels have done so far with nearly 25 minutes gone?
No. Against a side like South, you've got to build the game, build the pressure up, get their tackle counts up, and take it from there.
Steve, thanks for talking to me, and good luck.
Thanks, Ray.
This is Stan Jerd hitting it up. 10 metres into South Territory. Now Peter Wynn. Well, listening to Steve Edge-Bill, it sounds as though the plan for Parramatta is simply to take it as it comes and graft away and
yes, well,
just hopefully come away with the 2 points.
I would have thought that so far in this game they'd have been somewhat disappointed with their handling. They've turned the ball over to Souths on a few occasions, and this has allowed Souths to keep momentum and to build pressure. And Parramatta are going to need to go in at half-time with 5 or 6 points on the board against this South Sydney side, because if they get their backs up coming with this breeze, they're going to be hard to stop.
Now watch for Parramatta here. It's the last tackle. They're on the 22. They may not kick, although Sterling's decided to put the bomb up this time. All the Parramatta followers are onside, and that was a good take there by Marty Gurr. That was a tremendous take by the former Eastern Suburbs fullback.
Well, we've seen him do that sort of thing so many times in the past. He's one of the safest fullbacks in Sydney Rugby League.
Play just inside the South's quarter. Carberry. Now it's Finneck. Longbottom. Baker. Long pass out to Terry Murphy. Now to Niscott. And he got a pass away. Murphy went round him and backed him up. That's good football. Murphy is eventually tidied up by Taylor, but they've gained about 35 metres, the Rabbitohs, and looking every bit as good as Parramatta, their more illustrious opponents. Long pass picked up by Harrington, away from Taylor. Lydiard has him. And he's got rid of Lydiard and Gross. Well, that's pathetic defence by Parramatta.
Yes, but isn't this Harrington a good, strong runner? He came to South Sydney from the juniors as a second-row forward. He's moved onto the wing, and he's a powerhouse.
Here was Harrington. He had to stop and pick it up. He got away from Taylor. At least Taylor tried to take his legs. But here's the two Parramatta wingers, Lydiard and Gross, both shrugged off by Harrington. I
can't help but make the comment again that Parramatta are contributing to their own demise by their handling errors, but there's no doubt also, Ray, that they're missing the steadying influence of Mick Cronin in the centres. They've always had him there to settle things down for them, and at the moment they're looking for a Mick Cronin.
This is Sterling, now Quinn, now Mayers. Back to Quinn, quick ball to Lydiard. Play just outside the Parramatta quarter line.
The Parramatta players are at 6s and 7s here. They took 2 plays to the middle. They came back to the blind side. They're looking for a runner. At the moment, they're very disorganised.
Has Kenny touched the ball yet? Jerd. Getting a pass around the corner. That was Kenny trying to pick it up.
Well, that was a pass that was never on.
Longbottom playing it now. Murphy.
And that was just another one of those handling errors that could contribute here to South Sydney going in with a lead at half-time.
Baker. Niscott making the extra man from the blind wing. And Gurr is nicely cut down by Quinn. Niscott from the left wing giving it to the right winger on the opposite side of the paddock to where he's supposed to be playing, unless South have made a positional change. But at the moment, Niscott has come to the right wing as Harrington plays the ball. 6 more tackles and South are mounting pressure. Cut-out pass. Murphy's put it behind him. Referee says to play on. It's Dean Rampling. Tony Rampling, Longbottom following him through and play just outside the 22. David Boyle, and that's Davidson. Yes, Murphy has gone out to the wing for Souths. He looks like he's suffering from an injury, and Niscott's playing centre. Oh, Sterling was doing all right on his own. It's a South Sydney penalty. Parramatta offside. Here's the bomb, but Sterling was right up above the pack, and he was doing all right, thank you, but David Lydiard causes as much problem for Sterling as Sterling does for himself. Look at this. He's up there, and it's as if Lydiard was taking Sterling out of the game. And that's not the first time I've seen the blue and golds do that. David Lydiard not really helping Peter Sterling. He would have been better off hanging around waiting for the crumbs. Now, Neil Baker missed a slightly more difficult kick than this, but he's only about 15 metres out. Very slight angle. And Neil Baker this time levels the points at 2-all. Souths and Parramatta from Redfern. It's Paul Mayers who has the ball placed for the kick-off. And it's a little stabbing kick from Sterling. They might get it back here, Parramatta. Oh, Taylor went within an inch of picking it up. But Terry Murphy saved for Souths. Niscott. Boyle. It's a very narrow blindside. He had 3 players crammed up between himself and the wing, so he certainly wasn't lacking support. Longbottom, Baker, and he's neatly tackled there by Paul Taylor,
who's gone into the front line, and Sterling's gone to fullback.
6 more tackles. Out to Carberry. It's Quinn around the legs. 32 metres out from the South line. Running into the breeze in the first half, the Rabbitohs. And Coach Willie would be, I would think, very happy with them.
The Parramatta defence is showing a lot more commitment in this set of 6 tackles.
Fenech. Yes, Coach Willie would be very happy, I would think, with the Rabbitohs if he can go in at half-time at 2 points all.
These are the situations that Parramatta are very dangerous in. A quick turnover of the ball. They've got their back spread on either side of the field.
Well, Stan Jerd taking it to ground has let South reassemble. Win. Looking to unload. Price running a decoy to the open. Stewart killing it from dummy half. So they're setting up a play as it goes to Sterling. Now Mayer's out wide. Lydiard has put it down. Still on the ground. That'll be play on with Quinn. But it is tackle number 5, and Rampling is still getting up after trying to tackle Mayers. A flick pass inside for Ella. He's taken it to ground. That's the turnover. Tony Rampling, he's not 100%, but He tried to tackle Mayers, and Mayers goes in and hits with the hip as he comes to the defence line. Inside the 5 against Parramatta. Penalties 6-5 to South. Scrums 3-1 to South. About 8 minutes out from half-time. Harrington. Tony Rampling still standing well out of the play, recovering from that knock, although he's become involved in this play. His tackle on the halfway. Now it's long bottom. Carberry. Again long bottom. That's David Boyle trying to hit and spin off Ray Price. Baker to Dean Rampling. This is Carberry, picked up and driven by Peter Wynn. 5 tackles gone for the Rabbits. Baker shooting for the touchline. And again, David Lydiard has covered it up.
Now, these are the situations where Eric Grove should leave his wing, come into the centre of the field and help the Parramatta forwards, who no doubt are tired, ruck this ball out.
Now it's Quinn. Mayers. And there's still plenty of enthusiasm in the South Sydney defence. 6 minutes in front of half-time. Now that penalty is against the 2 markers for not standing directly behind one another. It's a critical 5 minutes for both sides. Parramatta, I'm sure, would be looking for points if they're going to come out and run into this fairly stiff breeze in the second half. And Souths, they'll be quite happy to go in at 2 points all. Sterling, a dummy back to Stewart, and then he tries to crack the defensive line. Winner's a dummy half. And now it's Jerd. I note that Growth has come in behind the play the ball now. And out to Taylor. This is Mayers. They're trying to hammer their way through the middle, and South are loving this. Sterling. The entire Parramatta team is on the left of the ground now as Taylor gets it back to Mayers. Very disjointed. Growth is still waiting in the middle of the ground. Here's Wynn. Now Sterling. Picked up by Wynn again. Now it's Kenny. Somebody said Brett who? Brett Kenny in possession. 22 metres out. Sterling putting it up. Price to me is offside. Put that down for the record, but Niscott has got it for Souths. Tony Rampling. Dean. 2 points all. Mike Carberry to play it. Mario Fanek. Oh, gee, that's a dangerous tackle. Luckily, his legs weren't being held by another Parramatta defender, but that is a very dangerous situation. Sterling trying to kill it. Baker with 6 more tackles. And a penalty to South.
Well, Parramatta persist in leading South Sydney in this game by giving away childish penalties.
It's against Ray Price. So Baker it was who kicked the ball over the head of Sharp, and Stewart came in, but Sterling tries to blot it out He fails. Baker dives on it. Price dives on Baker. There's nothing wrong with that. The tackle count has been resumed. And he must have got Price for indiscriminate kicking. That's all I can think of. Davidson. Dean Rampling. Baker. Pobji. Gurr. Well, that ball looked to me to be thrown forward or lost forward. And that's what the referee has ruled, and he's putting a scrum down. Three minutes from half-time. Penalty, 2 Souths. That's against Peter Sterling. I do believe for going into the scrum and fishing it out. In other words, it's called handling in the scrum.
I'm sure if he'd have left his hands out of the scrum, that the penalty would have gone the other way for South Sydney collapsing.
So Souths with a real chance. Just 3 minutes in front of half-time. Boyle. They're only 10 metres out there. That's Dean Rampling. George Longbottom looking for an opening.
I hate to think what the score would be here if Ray Price wasn't playing.
Baker comes blind, finds Gurr. And I wouldn't have been surprised to see Marty Gurr use that rather famous grub kick of his. It's gone across for Carberry.
And there's that man Price again.
Sterling low, Price up the top. Baker. Not a bad kick under pressure as the big men fly, and it's out into the crowd, and it's coming out to the 22 line for a place kick restart by Parramatta. Stewart. Settling it for one. Sterling, Price, and that's Steve Sharp. Sterling again. Now Quinn. Long ball out to Peter Wynn. He's put it down. But like a first-grade footballer should be, he went after it, made a knock on of it.
Well, Parramatta are persisting with spreading the ball along their back line, who are under considerable pressure from the South Sydney outside backs, and they haven't used that variety yet of a long kick or a chip or a grubber kick.
Fed by Longbottom, won by Souths. And this is Pobji. Gurr was looking to link up
and
in the back line.
Of course, Ray Price got out of that scrum to make the tackle.
Ball lost in the play of the ball. Pobji not happy. I think he believes that the ball may have been raked from his hands by a Parramatta player. Here's Taylor. Siren for half-time is about to sound. Ron Willie, the Souths coach, at 2 points all, entitled to be quite satisfied. Only seconds to hang on now. Taylor. Well, on what we've seen so far in the match, Parramatta are looking anything but the defending premiers.
Well, a succession of poor handling plus some penalties which they've caused themselves have allowed South Sydney to be able to get momentum.
And so at half-time, as the players file from the Redfern Oval, it's Souths and Parramatta at 2 points all. The scoreline, Bill Anderson.
Well, Parramatta ignored their wind advantage in the first half by failing to kick, and I'm sure that South, through 5'8" Neil Baker, will try to use this breeze for big territorial gains and play the game in the Parramatta half.
Well, if they don't, I would think Ron Willie will be asking why. As it's fed away to Mike Carberry. Sterling was around the legs. Well, Parramatta's got 3 markers. Sterling had to get out of there and get out of there fast. Referee almost had the whistle to his mouth. Longbottom, Carberry, Tony Rampling. Now Paul Mayers is down on the ground in back play. And he's clutching at his stomach. Mayers, top left-hand corner of your screen, in fact. As again, Tony Rampling takes it ahead for South. Baker. Torpedo punt. Taylor is going to get plenty of work this half, that's for sure. And he's going to need the help of this man, Growth, who's with him. Growth will take it away, I would think.
Growth was very quiet in the first half of Parramatta, and I'm sure that coach John Mahoney will have whispered a few words in his ear about his lack of involvement.
So no gain in ground there for Growth, straight across the 22 line, as Taylor tries to ferret his way out. Mayers is still down receiving attention. Jerd spinning it back for Growth. And Growth is tackled midway between the 22 and halfway his own end of the field. Sterling chipping ahead, covered up by Longbottom, and Gurr is nicely tackled by Quinn.
Ron Quinn's been a good fill-in for Mick Cronin today. He's done everything plus a little bit more that could have been asked of him.
Paul Mayer's back on his feet. In fact, he made that tackle.
Well, Terry Murphy was in a gap then and he could have gone all the way and scored, but he made the cardinal sin. He took his eye off the ball at the critical time.
Ball being played by Brett Kenny. Steve Sharp, Sterling, cutting out Quinn, giving it to Ella. There's a chance on for Parramatta to make good ground. David Lydiard over the halfway. Quinn's there for dummy half. Now it's Sharp. I'll be surprised if Parramatta, their coach John Mahoney, hasn't told his players that they have to stretch this ball. They have to keep pushing the ball wide. Instead of playing into South Sydney's hands, their strong part, South Sydney, is, I believe, in the centre of the ground, and I don't think too many would disagree with that.
Well, on Wednesday night when Souths played against St George, we saw St George adopt the tactics of working the ball to the middle and then spreading the ball back blind side. I'd be surprised if Parramatta didn't adopt a similar tactic.
Ah, there's a chance on here. Gurr was unable to take it. That's Peter Sterling, who's gone in to score. Peter Sterling picking up the first try of the match. It was Lydiard and Gurr who flew high. Let's see the replay, the NEC replay of it. It was a Peter Sterling bomb. Lydiard came from an onside position to fly high with Gurr. It came straight down to Paul Taylor, who gave it to Peter Sterling. He was taken high by Longbottom and was in to score a fair try.
Well, we didn't see Parramatta use the kicking game much in the first half, but here we see the result of it. A good bomb by Sterling. Gurr didn't get the protection that he would have liked from the other South Sydney players. The ball went back into the hands of Taylor, offloaded to Sterling. Longbottom came across in defence, but he just wasn't strong enough nor quick enough to push Sterling out over the sideline.
And for those that had any doubts about that corner post, it was most definitely taken by the legs of George Longbottom. Steve Ella has a difficult kick from the touchline. He's only stabbed it, and no goal for Ella. So the NEC big game scoreline now, Parramatta 6, Souths 2. Well, it was ironic that the first try in the match would come from a bomb against Souths, who on Wednesday night used the bomb almost exclusively as their main attacking weapon. They did score off it too, but Parramatta has played them at their own game. Here's Growth.
That's more like the Eric Growth that we want to see. We all know that Eric Growth can do it when he gets himself involved in the game. Just refused in the first half, but now we're seeing the Eric Growth that we know.
So scrum is to go down 33 metres out from the Parramatta line, and we need more of that man doing what we saw then. And blokes like Ziggy Niscott, don't get me wrong, but that's what the rugby league game is all about, a bit of excitement from the personality players. 66.7% the success rate for Fenwick in the first half. Gurr into the back line, knocked down by Ella.
Ella almost came up with that ball. We know that he's the king of the intercept, and he almost snaveled one then, and he would have been clear sailing because Gurr had come into the back line for Souths.
Well, I thought Parramatta had the ball, but it's come up with Souths. Mario Fenwick giving it to David Boyle. They're on a wrap out to the right. And taken to ground is Pobji. Price the tackler.
That was a good ball and all tackle by Price. Souths had extras on the far side of the field, but Price nullified it by stopping the progress of the ball.
This fellow is Davidson. There's Davidson. Now, a couple of decoys, and I think David Boyle might have been expecting one of his colleagues to get that. Off from dummy half goes Fenwick. Back to Boyle. Now Baker, long bottom.
Fenwick's got all of the skills of rugby league. He's a good ball winner, he's a good dummy half, and he's also a good defender. But where he's most dangerous is when he runs from dummy half. He's extremely fast.
That's a good bomb by Baker. Taylor. Oh, that's a great take by the little man.
Well, that take of the bomb lost nothing in comparison to Marty Gurr's early. That was a tremendous take by Paul Taylor. Got high, no regard for his own safety. And
again, away goes Growth. So in the opening 7 minutes of the second half, I think I'm right in saying that Growth has handled the ball on 4 or 5 occasions. And I think in the first half he touched it once. So it's pretty obvious that Coach Money has told Growth to get more involved. Boy, oh boy, Growth. Taylor hitting it into the back line, but Kenny well smothered by Pobji. Out to Quinn. No change to the scoreboard. 6 points to 2 in favour of Parramatta. Here's Wynn.
And here we can see that Parramatta have worked the play to the centre. They've got a good line back here on the right-hand side of the field.
Sterling.
David Lydiard's put himself into a hole here if the ball can come out in his direction.
Well, it's out in that direction, and Kenny's going to try and split through. He's looking inside, finds Growth. There goes Growth. He's up to the 32-metre line. Back to Ella. Ella will stretch it out to the right. This is Quinn. Quinn around the corner for Lydiard. Niscott's got troubles. It's gone to Kenny. That's a great try. That's as good a try as you'll see anywhere in the world of rugby league. They backed up superbly, Parramatta. And Kenny, the man who scored the try, he started it all, really, as Stewart gave the ball to Sterling. Sterling gave it to Taylor. He picked it up on the half volley. And big Paul Mayers kept the ball alive before it was out to where a Parramatta player was able to outnumber his defence. A flick pass inside from Kenny to Growth. Long bottom held him just enough, but then Growth got his pass away to Ella. A quick ball to Quinn. He zigzagged and got a pass around the corner. It was a lovely ball by Quinn. And then Lydiard drew Niscott and said to Kenny, there's vacant pasture for you to go in and score the try.
Well, the overlap here was always on for Parramatta, but it took the magicians of rugby league to finish it off to come with a try. I'm going to give a lot of credit here to young Paul Mayers getting the ball away in this tackle. The play was carried on by Brett Kenny, turned the ball, or faked to turn the ball back inside to Lydiard, finally got it back in field of Growth. Now let's look here for Ron Quinn. He was involved in the play back at its initial stages, backed up here to take a pass off Ella, then got a beautiful ball around the corner, looped it to Lydiard. Lydiard gave the pass to Kenny who'd backed up to score in the corner, and you'll never see a better rugby league try than that.
Ella's kick from the sideline across the face of the uprights. That try, I believe, 10 passes were involved as Parramatta lead in the NEC big game, 10 points to 2 now. Baker. And that's Taylor with it, giving it to Growth.
and look out.
Growth up and outside the 22-metre line.
One of the disappointing things for a coach is to have a player like Eric Growth in your side, and you go through 40 minutes of football and you watch him stand on the wing and nothing happens. You get to him at half-time and whisper in his ear, and then you see him come and turn a game for you in the second half.
Stan Jerd. Jerd getting it down towards the halfway. Ken Stewart was the only player backing him up. Now it's Sharp. Play just inside South's area. Sterling hitting it off towards the touchline.
And now we can see that Parramatta are using their kicking game, and it's made all of the difference to them. It's turned South Sydney around, it's got Parramatta going forward, and this is what's allowing Parramatta to build up their momentum.
Peter Sterling finding touch on the 22 line. Fed by Longbottom. I'm just wondering whether referees are under instruction to just get the ball in the scrum and don't worry about anything else. I'm not just picking on George Longbottom, but watching halves in all the matches we've done to date, they seem to be angling it into the second row consistently and getting away with it. South Sydney, minus that man in the middle of your top right-hand corner, Royce Aylett, who came out of St Joseph's at Lidcombe on Thursday. He passed the baton to Michael Cronin and said, good luck. As South's kick, Taylor's back.
And he's with David Lydiard and Eric Grove, two of the best broken field runners in football.
Decides to take it himself, Taylor.
And Grove's moved to one off the ruck, ready to hit this up, and I reckon there'll be a few South Sydney players not too happy about it.
Lydiard taken to ground by Pobji. Now Growth off from dummy half, a run around with Sterling. Now he tries to bulldog his way through. Sterling, Wynn. Peter Wynn, 8 metres out from the quarter. Quinn, good ball from Quinn to Kenny. Kenny is screaming to the halfway. That's David Lydiard. He's got players inside and outside. He's got Ella with him. I don't know whether he'll need him. Yes, he will. He's been grounded. And it's a penalty. Double movement, I think. Wow. He had Mares on one side and Ella on the other. Let's see it again. See whether I'm being wrongly critical of David Lydiard. But Quinn gave Kenny a magic ball. Kenny did all he had to do. Now Lydiard puts his head in the air. Ella says, I'm inside you. But Lydiard didn't look. He thought he could outspeed them. But Longbottom showed tremendous speed. And the referee has ruled double movement. And a penalty goes to South. Back with it live now. Parramatta leading by 10 points to 2. I've got a feeling that David Lydiard thought, well, I'm in the clear, nobody will catch me.
There wouldn't be many players in Sydney that would catch Lydiard from behind when he gets his ears back.
Well, all I can say is, Georgie Longbottom, you're a lot faster than I thought you were. And full marks to Longbottom. He chased like a real rabbit. In fact, he haired it. They're the ones with the bigger ears, aren't they? Not meaning that to be disrespectful to George, but he certainly showed a lot of toe. The kick by Baker is, I don't like using this word, but a nothing kick.
Well, it was touched by the Parramatta players, and of course that put the South Sydney players onside. They came through on chase, but Taylor came up with the first.
Oh, Growth has made another bust through the first line.
Isn't he causing some damage?
Well, Terry Murphy knows what's happened now. He's clutching at his shoulder. He tried to make an orthodox front-on low tackle on Growth, and he's walking away or running away with no feeling at the moment in his right arm.
Growth's one of the hardest men in Sydney to tackle. If you go high, he fends you off. If you go low, he bumps you off with his thigh.
So, on the halfway line, Sterling, a dummy to Quinn, gets back inside, ferrets for an opening up the middle. This is more like the Parramatta that we came here to see today. Their first half was, to say the least, pretty ordinary. Wynn gets a pass back. This is Mares. There's trouble if they keep punching it. But Steve Sharp takes it to ground. They've got to go left here. They may opt not to kick. They've got a big line to the left. Stewart passes. It's out to Quinn. Now he gets a nice little kick over for Ray Price. Price marks it. He'll have to pass. He does to Mears, and that's the turnover. But Mears has been able to pass.
They've got extras here, Parra.
Now Kenny passes. Stewart, Sharp, gets it to Wynn. Picked up and flicked out the back door. It's still in play. It was touched by South. It's with Quinn. He's got Ella. Oh, they put it down. And it's back with Paul Taylor.
Well, a try went begging there. Eric Growth was unmarked, would have scored in the corner, but the Parramatta players confused themselves. They had too many options.
I don't think Parramatta... I think this ball was touched by South, and I'm sure the referee didn't restart the tackle count, and Parramatta seemed to play sixth tackle football, which is almost panic football for some players. Kenny came inside. I think it's this ball here. No, it was taken by Sharp, and then Mears scooped out the back door by Taylor, and I thought it was there that Niscott may have got a touch. However, that's all like last week's pay. It's gone, and we come back to not Madison Square Garden, but something that looks very much like it. And
the master and the pupil, Ken Stewart, Mario Fennick.
This is what happened while we were watching the replay, and so there it is, the disc replay showing us what was happening while we were looking at the replay of what could have been a great try for Parramatta.
That tackle that Terry Murphy made on Eric Growth must certainly have hurt him. He's had to leave the field and he's replaced by Darren McCarthy.
Darren McCarthy, the son of the great Rabbitoh, Bobby McCarthy. He's on and playing in the centres. This man is Dean Rampling. Parramatta still only 8 points in front, but playing a hell of a lot better than they did in the first half. Longbottom, Carberry, back to Longbottom, across now to Baker, and that is Davidson. Play a few metres on south side of the halfway. Parramatta have a replacement on the sideline, ready to come on. His name, Chris Houghton, or Horton, formerly from the Penrith club, and he could be on the field in a matter of seconds. In fact, there goes the touch judge with the Parramatta replacement in number 17 jumper. And it's Quinn coming off. Houghton has gone on. Kenny's been told to go to 5/8 on a permanent basis.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's a reward for Ron Quinn by coach John Mooney. He's been one of Parramatta's better players.
It could only be taken in that vein. South's a penalty. There's Don Duffy limbering up on the sideline. Bank teller by profession, joined the Eels last year at the request of John Mooney. The tap for Souths will be taken just inside the 32-metre line. Longbottom, Boyle, and Carberry coming up the middle.
One of the players that Souths will be looking for now to get involved in this match is their fullback who came from Eastern Suburbs, Marty Gurr. Gurr's an excellent footballer, and he's a sort of player that could come back down the blind side and put Souths back into this match.
Dean Rampling, Stewart and Jerd, Sharp and Price. The four-man tackle from Parramatta. The actual sting has gone out of a lot of these hits as Parramatta leads by 10 points to 2. Baker threw the dummy on that occasion and was hit in defence by Taylor. Kenny has dropped back for the bomb this time as Rampling puts it up. Sterling's underneath it. Knocked back and Kenny has it. I read with interest a lot of talk about the Australian fullback to replace Greg Brentnell. I haven't had the chance to put my tuppence worth in, but my goodness, if Brett Kenny's name hasn't flashed through the minds of selectors, I'll be most amazed. Sharp. backing up Peter Wynn, and then he was looking in vain for somebody. Price arrived, but was too late. Stewart, short ball
good
around
ball.
the back. Yes, it was a good ball. Intercepted by Darren McCarthy, and he will score. He'll score into the post. Darren McCarthy has put life back into this South Sydney side now. Well, we were talking about a good ball, and it was the one immediately prior to the one that went into this man's arms. And McCarthy galloped in to score, having intercepted. This is the passage of play. Stewart got this good pass away around the back of Taylor into the arms of Sterling, and it was Sterling who passed, and he almost had Darren McCarthy standing between he and the man for whom the pass was intended. Hard to believe Peter would even attempt that pass. The conversion has been taken from right in front by Neil Baker, and 10 points to 8 is the scoreline in favour of Parramatta. Try scorer Darren McCarthy, number 26. "15 minutes of time remaining, and you'll hear the Redfern Oval voices now, with the home side just 2 points down. And here's one of their favourite sons, Ziggy Niscott, being hit by the Parramatta defence of Duffy, Wynn and Gross. That's Dean Rampling. But there's a bit of bite come back into this Parramatta defence now. They realise that anything could happen. They could easily be making a long trek home to Cumberland without the 2 points. Now it's with Tony Rampling. Don Duffy is on. Stan Jerd has left the field. Duffy's playing in 16 as South get a penalty. That's Duffy. So they pack it in now, and it's a Parramatta penalty. Taylor scurried off to take a quick penalty. He does that, but they're inside the 10 South, so now they'll take the kick at goal. The previous penalty was the differential, and that was, you might recall, it was a very common play when the differential penalty was first brought in by a lot of halfbacks, a lot of the players who took the tap. They took it quickly, caught the others inside the 10, so they could then have the kick at goal. Sterling with a lot of blood from the mouth, but Steve Ella has got a kick at goal from 15 metres out, so it was good quick thinking by Paul Taylor. There's the replay. There's no doubt that Neil Baker was inside the 10. Still, what do you do in a situation like that? Would Baker simply let him go because he knows he's inside the 10, turn your back and run back the 10? I don't think so.
You get back more quickly before the tap's taken.
Yeah, well, Taylor really, he worked that out very smartly, didn't he? Steve Ella, right in front. Still a bit of football in this game, though, even if he does kick it. Ella's kick successful. And so Parramatta leading now by 12 points to 8. You're watching the NEC big game. Michael Andrews has gone on for Souths. Dean Rampling is off. This man is Don Duffy. He's about 7 or 8 metres on his own side of the halfway. That's the replacement for Souths. This is Ken Stewart, who needs little or no introduction to the South Sydney crowds. And a peep of sunshine as this match goes into its last 5 minutes. Peter Wynn has hit it up hard all day, but has looked more outstanding in the last 15 minutes or so. As Sterling gets in a kick for touch, he's found it just outside the South Sydney 22. Longbottom to work it. And it's a scrum that has collapsed, and a penalty has gone to Souths against Parramatta.
Well, Parramatta still can't afford to relax or feel comfortable in this match. There are 4 or 5 minutes left to go, but as we saw with Darren McCarthy's intercept try, sometimes tries can come out of nothing, and Parramatta just can't afford to let South Sydney get a sniff of a victory.
So the Rabbitohs go on to their last line of attack. 12 points to 8. Converted try wins it for them. And a penalty to Souths. That's against the marker for not standing directly in front of the man playing the ball. And the pressure mounting for the Parramatta team. South Sydney trainer has come to the sideline to tell Ziggy Niscott how long there is remaining.
And don't be surprised to see here a kick by South Sydney for Marty Gurr to receive. It was a ploy that Eastern Suburbs used when they had Gurr as their fullback. He gets through quickly after the bomb, and he's one of the best bomb receivers in the game.
Baker turning it to Davidson. He's tackled on the 22 line. Out it goes to Longbottom. This is Tony Rampling. Gurr has got himself positioned just in behind to play the ball. Now the ball is lost in the tackle, and he's going to put a scrum down centre field on the Parramatta 22. About 2.5 minutes to go as the half and lock work it for Souths. Gurr switches it. They're one-on-one though. Darren McCarthy beautifully taken by Brett Kenny.
Kenny's a very good one-on-one defender.
Now it's Pobji turning it back to Boyle. He gets a pass away to Andrews. He's held on the Parramatta 22. It's going to take all the ability of the defending premiers to hold them. Knocked backwards, that'll be 6 more. Or, well, it's lost in the tackle. He'll put another scrum down. Midway between 22 and halfway on Parramatta's end of the field. Four points the difference. 12 points to 8. Parramatta with 2 tries. The scrum has been won by Parramatta. Sterling has gone without it. Referee has ruled that he was able to get back on it. Well, that's got to be a penalty.
Well, I thought they might have got one from the scrum, but they've got one eventually anyhow.
Well, I was of the opinion that maybe Sterling had knocked on at the side of the scrum, but the referee obviously had ruled that he knocked it backwards, and then Sterling had to dive back upon it. So the dying seconds of the game, Parramatta will do nothing fancy. They'll just drive it down.
Well, I would hope they would try to do nothing fancy.
Stewart, the first man to kill it. Lydiard, the second. They're just into South territory. Price making the third dummy half run. Mayers is the fourth. That's if you count the tap penalty taken by Stewart. And Mayers, his leg in cramp, gets up slowly to the hoo-ha's of the opposition crowd. Sterling, it's tackle number 5. Spun across to Steve Sharp. Now Lydiard gets a kick in, and it went out on the full, and the touch judges come in to make a report. There's the siren. Referee acknowledging that he's heard the siren sound, and he's called full time. So it's all over. This match at Redfern, won by Parramatta, 12 points to 8. Tries to Peters.